purchase the very product that I make. I can create it. Remember my last lecture about creation, right? That true freedom is an expression of creation and not consumption, right? We think that the ability to purchase, the ability to make a choice is what is an expression of our freedom. And I argued that that's false. I argued in the discussion on popcorn flavored ice cream that it's the ability to create. This person creates this product, right? This person can actually create this product. The shoe is made, the shoe is manufactured. The person is being paid 25 cents an hour, right? The person is being paid 25 cents an hour. It's going to take that person this long, 1,000 hours, in order to purchase that shoe, right? It's going to take 1,000 hours to purchase the very shoe that they created. Now, despite the fact that I have the capacity to create the shoe, I can't own the shoe myself because I don't have the means. I'm not making enough money to purchase the shoe. There's a term for that, right? There's a term for that, and I'll just put it down here, is that these laborers then become disenfranchised. The person becomes disenfranchised from the product that he or she is manufactured at 25 cents an hour. For something that costs $250, I would have to work 1,000 hours in order, and how many days is that? 1,000 hours, say 1,000 divided by 1,000 divided by 24 equals 41.6 days, right? Right? That's insane. 1,000 hours divided by 24 hours in a day, it's over a month. I'd have to work a month of consecutive work, non-stop around the clock, no breaks, nothing, for over a month in order to be able to purchase on my salary the very thing that I'm able to create. I bring it to existence and I can't even purchase it. I can't even afford the very thing that I bring into existence. I've been disenfranchised. What ends up happening is that this group of people becomes alienated, right? They become sort of pushed to the side. So we have this idea of alienation. The laborers become alienated from the very thing that they're able to produce. But the story gets worse, right? Because not only am I disenfranchised from the product, not only am I alienated from my labor, right? My labor doesn't have any significance in that I can't possess the very thing that I'm creating, that I'm bringing into existence. What's worse is that in this relationship, when the products are sent back, they have to be sent back, right? It is illegal for the product to remain, in the nation that it was created, right? The trade agreement, the tariff agreements, the trade agreements are going to stipulate that once assembly has completed and the parts have been turned into products, that these products need to be sent back. Right? You can't leave those products there, because then what happens? Well, if you leave the products there, then you can then sell these products to potential markets within your region, and we've put all this investment into the parts, so we want this back. Right? So not only is it the case that there's going to be this imbalance with respect to the amount of capital that's invested versus the amount of labor that you're able to generate, with a very, very small capital investment, you're able to generate insane amount of labor, right? With very, very small capital investment, you're able to generate a lot of labor. This is where they want deregulation, right? You want to deregulate those things that would hamper this relationship. However, they do want to regulate via the trade agreement the percent at which it's taxed or not, or if there's any tax at all. And also mandate that once assembly has been completed, product has to be shipped back. Okay, so this is definitely going to be a benefit for the first world. And it will even benefit the leaders of the third world, right? The leaders of the third world will be able to line their pockets, because there's going to be a huge benefit to this. But the actual laborers of the third world are going to have a problem. And the question is, well, this is the best that we have, right? There is no alternative to this model. This model is the best model that exists now, and that's why this model is in play. And I would argue that is fundamentally false, right? Outsourcing isn't necessarily the best model that exists. There are better models. And just one quick look into sort of an alternative approach is the following. It's not a silver bullet, but if we recognize that the willpower governing the relationship between the first and the third world is the trade agreement, and this is the real power governing the regulation between the first and the third world is the trade agreement, then all we need to do is not worry so much about deregulating the market as we should focus our attention on restructuring our trade agreements. Our trade agreements, regulate the flow of capital and labor, of parts and products between the first and the third world. Our trade agreements facilitate that, right? It's not so much about the market itself, right? I think it's misplaced to say that the market has the tendency to want to maximize profit for the first world, right? That's what we assume. We assume that the market has that intent, right? We assume, and you'll hear economists saying some stuff like, as if to anthropomorphize the market is ailing, or the market is sick, or the market is rebounding, right? The market is non-existent, right? The market doesn't exist. It's not a thing in the world, right? It's no more real than Santa Claus. However, we believe and we talk about the market as if it weren't like Santa Claus. We talk about the market as if it were real. Well, the market is as real as Santa Claus is real, right? The market is a construct of our economic practices, right? It's socially constructed. It unfolds because this is how we have enabled the market to unfold. What we haven't really been spending a lot of time on, and what nobody really discusses, is the role that trade agreements play in relationship to the first and the third world. Why not have it that, in a Rawlsian sense, and I'm not a big Rawlsian fan, to be honest with you, but the attempt at the veil of ignorance was to be charitable to Rawls was at least a shot at hope, right? I think he some people say that he might have overstepped his bounds and it might be a little bit too wishful thinking, but if we have this veil of ignorance, if we have an idea, well, let's think of what it might be like to be the worst in the situation and set our policies to benefit at least those who are in the worst situation, then at least what we'll recognize is that at the very bottom, we'll have raised everyone up one notch. It'll be better for everybody, at least one notch better. This trade agreement should benefit both first and third. Right? The trade agreement should benefit both first and third world. That's the first point, right? The next point is, and I know this is going to sound blasphemous, but it's something that I'm dumbfounded why no one has thought of this up until now, and I know why they haven't thought about it. They haven't thought about it because of this. They haven't thought about it because of greed, because I can't think that I'm that smart that because I'm not. It's just unfortunate that we haven't thought of this as a nation, and our leaders and our economists haven't thought about this. Why not in our trade agreements allocate a portion of the product, instead of shipping back all of the product? Why not in our trade agreements allocation a portion of the product to remain in the third world?